Today I'm going to discuss about payment integration. So I was working with a commerce engine, and definitely I also would have required a payment gateway to integrate. And then I was thinking, which payment gateway should I use? And then I found this Braintree. So Braintree is they're pretty popular and also quite easy in terms of the available SDK they have. It's like a huge, I mean, if you see here, the server side SDK they have is like this. So you can use Java, .NET, Nodejs, PHP, Python, Ruby, right? So literally those are the main uh, backend platform, or you can say language, popular languages that we have. So you can definitely use one of them and you can integrate your stuff. So there are two part to integrate the payment system. So obviously you have your web app, so you will have something there, and also you will have your backend system or backend server where you also need to integrate something. So the idea is in the client side you can use so let me go this client side area. Okay, so in the client side you can see there are a couple of other platform as well. So you can have your Android application. So Android can be your client. You can have iOS, and obviously you can have JavaScript as a client. So JavaScript means a web app can be your client, and therefore you may have your payment system there, which can be used using this JavaScript v3 or v2, whatever. So today I'm going to show you the end-to-end integration of payment system, especially Braintree. So I'm going to use Braintree and how you are going to implement this Braintree in your application. So your client application, I am using a React based web application where I'm going to use a payment system, payment form from where you can uh, apply transaction. You can create your transaction. You can take money from the client. So there are two parts, as I told you before. The server side, I'm using, if you go server side, then you will see I'm using Nodejs SDK. So for that, let me open the Nodejs. So you will see here, sorry. So obviously you need to follow a couple of things. Here it mentions that server side, you need to first install your um, uh, Braintree SDK. So you need to use npm install Braintree, and then obviously you need to sign up first, and you need to create your Sandbox account. So this is my Sandbox account. So in the Sandbox account, you will have your details information. So what it's gonna provide you is, if you go this API section, then you will have your public key, and if you open this one, then you will see that it has couple of things: your public key, private key, and API key. So you need to use that in order to talk with Braintree Sandbox system. So when you are going to implement this solution to your real, or you can say the production environment, then you need to change this Sandbox to your production settings. So you can configure that through environment or through different settings. The way we actually follow that in our traditional web app system. So you can follow the same approach. Okay, so let me jump into the code and see how actually I did implement today this thing. So this is quite easy. Literally, you are going to have 30 to 40 lines, including your backend and front end, and that's all. So easy. So let me do. So I'm going to cover very basic implementation. So I'm not going to cover the security part. So sometimes you might need to have integrate with different security things to your payment system. So in order to maintain some security standard, or you can say some new data things, fraud detection things, so there are other integration you might need to apply in your payment integration system. I'm not going to cover that part, but I'm just going to simply cover a standard simple integration of payment system today. So let me jump into the server side first. So this is the node, and I am using uh, uh, node as my backend, and also I am using express package, or you can say express to implement my API. So I can create or I can write my own API through the Node.js, where you can listen HTTP, you can send different response, or you can use Express. Express is pretty popular in Node platform, so you can install it Express, and then you can just configure your Node to run this way. So I have only two endpoints that will cover my payment system. So number one, initialize, and number two, confirm. So what is initialize and confirm? Let me give you some brief, and then I'll jump into the client side. So initialize means when you will load your payment form. So you need to do some initialization work. That is very important to load the payment form. So the payment form you are going to load your web application is basically requires some data from the server. So in the server side, we have the Braintree SDK installed. In the client side, you also have reference of couple of Braintree JavaScript file, obviously. So what you do is there are a couple of ways to represent the form in the web application. You can either create your own form, and then you can mount your form to Braintree or any third-party integration that you're going to use. So that way, because a form must have to have secured, so that will make sure the security. So either you can use a iframe of your payment provider that gave to you. So you can use that iframe. You can set up a iframe, and then you can request that iframe. That iframe will give you some HTML that basically represents your credit card input form. Or you can create your own form, and you can tell your payment provider, hey, I already have created my web form, can you use this one, and put your security on top of this. So that will take care everything by your payment provider. So initialization Braintree endpoint is, this is the initialize endpoint that basically uh, talk with the Braintree using your information. So I have this merchant ID, public key and private key, right? So through that, I will request a token. Simple, pretty simple. So that token will be returned to your client. Client take that token and send this token to Braintree from the client JavaScript file. And if that matches, because Braintree already knows your token, because that gives you that token right before. So when that matches, then Braintree will wrap that form with their scripts and everything. Okay, so let me run this one then. So node server, and node is running. So let me do here. Here you go. npm start. Cool. So you see, let me go here. So this is my server, okay, and this is my client. And you'll see the client has already loaded successfully with all these details. So you'll see if you now provide some value here, for example, so you can see the validation red color means the card is not valid one. So similarly, everything is, so what it does is when it gets the token, so it already takes the token from the client. Let me just reload one more time. Then you can see the initialized Braintree endpoint is called. This is basically this initialized Braintree. If you call that, then you will see the data it has, it basically represents a token. So it uses that token, this form, and it uses the script Braintree script to pass this token, so that the form you will get here, it is controlled fully by Braintree. So it has all the validation, everything is. So you don't need to do anything. What you need is simply a form of couple of lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just need a form with 5 text field with the labels, and then you just need the token, and you can tell the Braintree, hey, this is my token, please mount my form. And then form is already mounted. You can see all the validation, everything is already wrapped up with this form. So now it's almost ready. So what you need to do is you need to take the test card. So you will have Braintree test card. You will have a lot of different cards. So you just need to grab on test card and apply the transaction. So let me test that. So you'll see a lot of things. Let's use this card. So this is the card it mentions. So yeah, it's valid, any valid CVC, because this is Sandbox, you can put anything. So now if you click purchase, then it will do the purchase and it will return you the result. So what is the result you can see here? So I make a transaction, hard-coded transaction for $100. Since the card information, everything I took from here, so they are valid. So it successfully deduct the 100 amounts from the text card. Status is settling, means it is actually done the payment, or you can say pre-authorization has already happened, and it has a transaction ID. Okay, so let's use this transaction ID, and let me check here inside my Sandbox account what we get for this transaction. So let's go to the transaction and let's search for the transaction. So in the transaction, if I search the latest transaction, you will see this is the top one. So you can see this is the status settling, and all the information is already there. So if you click that information, then you will see the details. So this is my personal, my merchant. I have just used this one, and you can see all the details: card number, expire date, visa, and definitely all the different steps that it happened. So it has set now settle status. It did the pre-authorization, submit for settlement, and it's already in settling status. So it is actually, the amount is already deducted. So now the merchant can use their own API to settle, or you can say the main transfer of amount from his from this Braintree to, for example, my account. That will be a different story, but that is something, a separate endpoint that we need to call, but that's different thing. But yeah, so you can see the implementation has done, and you can see this is working. So let me just jump into the server side code here. So this confirm Braintree, if you see the network tab, then you will see. So this is the initialization happened, and when we click that button, when everything was successful, including your card information, all the details, then we call the confirm Braintree, and in the confirm Braintree, we get this response from the Braintree. So here you will see all the details. So status was success, and this is the transaction details, and all the data that processed by Braintree you will get here as a response. So if there is any problem, then you will see success false, and all the reasons for getting false result, you will see that as well. Now in terms of implementation, let me go to first, let me check this endpoint confirm Braintree, what it has. So in the confirm Braintree, pretty basic. So I have to use the gateway instance with all the provided details, and then I need to call only one single endpoint, or you can say the function, that is transaction.cell. So in the cell, this data, so you can assume that you're going to make a transaction, or you are going to deduct a amount for $100. So that data and all the payment and line item, basically your card line item, so that will be passed. But line item is not something important right now, but right now the main important is the amount. So you can see the amount, and there is the other thing, nonce. What is nonce? So when you are making the transaction, when everything is successful, right? So then from the client talk with the Sandbox through their script system, and then Sandbox returns, or you can say the Braintree provider returns, or whatever the provider you are going to use, that returns a nonce with that. So that nonce we also need to pass along with your amount and everything, so that the handshake can be made. So when you pass the nonce with your actual amount of transaction and everything, then Braintree or payment provider also check that, okay, the request it gets, whether it is valid or not, because anyone can, might intercept, right? It's difficult to intercept, but yeah, anyone can do that and pass some invalid, or you can say custom data, so that a transaction can be made. So that can be, overruled by this nonce. So nonce is something that you must have to have, provided, and nonce can be used only once. So you cannot use it multiple times. The same way, the initialization token cannot be used multiple times. So if you use initialization token multiple times, if you try that, then you will get rejected status. So it has basically, if you remove this one, this is a common function, you can introduce that. So it basically has 4 or 5 lines done, the server side implementation. In terms of the client side implementation, basically it doesn't have anything. So let me show you. So this is my payment form, right? So in the payment form, this is the form actually. So that form represents this design. Let me jump into the design page again. See, so this design represents this HTML. So what I only have is couple of kind of standard. You will see this code already given in the Braintree site. You just need to copy paste that on. So basically, it has some sort of Braintree client. So I have injected. If you open the HTML index HTML, then you will see I have to refer this client.js and hosted field.js, these two script files. So that is part of Braintree. So Braintree use that, and here this is, as I told you before, this is kind of standard, provided template kind of thing. So you copy paste this one from Braintree, and then you just need to use the token. So what I'm doing, the very important thing is, as soon as this payment form gets loaded to the system or in the browser, I I call the endpoint, I take the token, I pass the token to the client. So that is kind of basically all the provided code that I got from Braintree, and that's all. So here, what we need to do is here, when you are here actually, so if there is any problem, then there would be some alert and it will return. From there, it will not reach this point. So when you are reaching this point here, payment nonce means everything went successfully, and therefore you get a nonce. Then what you need to do is you need to do the payment transaction. So what is payment transaction? This is my function. So payment transaction is nothing but, you can see this payment transaction function is mine. This is encapsulated in this context. So payment transaction is here. Basically, it receives a data object is nothing but the amount and nonce and everything that you need to pass to the server. So the data, and I just need to call the confirm URL endpoint. Confirm URL endpoint is nothing but this endpoint, confirm Braintree, with my data. Okay, then the data is here as a body. You can see the data, it reaches to the server. You just need to call this transaction sales array. From the data, you just need to pass the amount to amount, and the nonce that you got from the data, you need to pass the payment method nonce with a option of this, and then done. So that's all basically. So there are a couple of options here. So if you want to check the security, or new data platform, if you want to add, or if you want to add any standard security things to your payment, then that is different. That is the extension. So you can do that easily through the Braintree. Okay, so that's all for today. I'm pretty sure it is quite clear. uh, Pretty clear. I mean, total, I'll say that I have not more than 30 to 40 lines. So for example, if you see this client side, so client side, everything is encapsulated here in this payment context. So in the payment context, definitely it has only two function. On function to represent the get token, so that will basically call your get endpoint and get the token. And this is the payment transaction, basically call the confirm endpoint to do the main transaction. That's all. So that's all. And yeah, I already told you this form is openly available. You can search this form to Braintree, you will get it from there, and then that's all. So I'm going to create a I'll put my the details of the repository. I mean, I have already committed out everything to GitHub. So I'll share the GitHub link to the description, so you can check that that client side application. And for server side application, So I just copy pasted these two endpoints. So what you need to do is you need to copy paste the endpoints in the node. You just need to create a simple node application, and you just need to use Express to create your endpoints. Then you just need to create these two endpoints. That's all. So I have also pasted these two endpoints in the repository as well. So you can take that and you can easily test your integration, payment integration. So this is for Braintree. Next day I'll try to explain maybe other payment integration. The more or less all the payment integration has the same kind of approach. So yeah, that will not actually change a big change. It's like a small bit of changes here and there. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoy this video, and yeah, I mean, if you have any question, anything, then let me know. And I would strongly request you please subscribe my channel so that you can follow all the videos that I'm going to share in future. Okay, so till then, bye bye. Very soon I'm going to cover with another video with another topics, especially the commerce engine that I am working on. So I'll give you next video based on that. Okay, till then, bye bye, and have a good night and good day.